And then you spoke about this first year relief. Could you give us a little bit more detail about that?
So it's called annual investment allowance, and the annual investment allowance currently is capped at £1 million, which is the highest it's ever been. And what that means is there is a benefit to claiming capital allowances in the first year when you incur the expenditure. Now, typically when you claim capital allowances, it's claimed at a percentage year on year. There's two pools of allowances, a main rate and a special rate. The main rate is currently 18% and the special rate is 6%. So let's say we find you £100,000 worth of allowances. On average of the two percentages, it'll probably be like 13 or 14% overall. So you would write off £14,000 worth of those allowances in the first year, and the remaining 86 will get carried forward to the next year. And then you do 14% of that the next year, and the remaining would get carried forward. And you'd keep on doing that on a reduced balance basis until you've exhausted the full amount. That's if you've incurred the expenditure outside of the first year. That's how you typically claim capital allowances. However, if we get to you when you
Sorry, you mentioned 18%, 6%, and then you mentioned 14%.
That's just an average of the two combined.
Oh, I see. Right, great.
Sorry, I should have made that distinction. So just the two of them combined. It might be that it's only 18% and it's only 6% because you only qualify for the one, because there are restrictions to claiming. But let's just say it's 18% for argument's sake. You're only claiming the main rate. It'll be 18,000 this year, the remaining 82 to the next year, and so on and so on. Now, with the annual investment allowance, if you've bought an SA apartment, or wherever it might be, or a block, or something that qualifies, and we identify allowances for you, whatever we find, you get 100% relief up to £1 million. So let's say we find you, say £500,000 for argument's sake. The full £500,000, because you've incurred that expenditure and we've identified the allowances and submitted it in your first tax return of your first tax year, you qualify for that AIA, that first year annual investment allowance. That full amount will get carried forward into the next year, and so on until you've exhausted the full amount, and it goes in that first year, so you can get the full benefit straight away. So literally the first £500,000 worth of profits will be tax-free, and there's no percentage or writing down allowance because we've claimed in the first year. So there is a benefit to claiming in the first year. It's currently capped at £1 million. It's the highest it's ever been. I mean, there's been scenarios where it used to be 500,000, then they took it down to 50,000. So then they increased it to 250,000. Then they took it back down to like 100,000, and it just keeps changing. But it's at £1 million now. This is the highest it's ever been. So now is like the best time to claim capital allowances. Just recently, I mean, in COVID times, they introduced a super deduction, which is 130%. For every 100,000 that we identify for you, you would get 130,000 in allowances. Wow. But then they repealed that as of April this year. I have no idea why, because it was fantastic. It was such an amazing benefit, and it was only for new expenditure. So if you bought a property that was old, it wouldn't qualify. But if you spent money doing it up on new expenditure, on new building, then you could claim that 130%. And it was massive. But they've repealed that. They said they're going to bring in a replacement, but I don't know if they are. What they have introduced is a new system of full expensing. Now, full expensing brings capital allowances into the forefront of one of the best tax breaks you can get in the UK now. The only problem with the full expensing is this, though. The majority of the SME market, which is who we service, will still only benefit from that £1 million.
So just to clarify, SME is small, medium enterprises, yeah?
Yeah, of course, which is primarily our market. It's, the whole purpose of us working in capital allowances for the SME market is to bring capital allowances to the SME market, because this is essentially a tax break for the big boys, the blue chippers and all the rest of it. But it's not just for them. Everyone should be able to benefit. So we have that first year relief of £1 million. Full expensing really only applies to anyone who's incurring over £2 million worth of expenditure doing up a property. Now, those kind of clients for us are few and far between. There's not many aside from like the big kind of developers that are doing that. So then I wonder, why did they get rid of the super deduction, and why have they brought in this full expensing thing that doesn't benefit, as you know, hardly any of the SME market? Is it really just aimed at helping out the bigger companies and forgetting about the little people in between? It's insane. I don't know. I'm hoping they are going to bring something in for the super deduction. But yeah, watch this space. We'll see what happens. But that first year relief at the moment is amazing. I don't think they're going to repeal it anytime soon. If Labour get into power, who knows, maybe they might, but we'll see what happens.
Wow, amazing. So yeah, so inherently that first year, so obviously we talked about making money first, but obviously that would, if you claim it in that first year and you know you're going to make money, and you know everyone will know that I'm massive on choosing the right area. You've got your gold mine area, you're obviously running it really well. You want to make sure if you're running it yourself that you've done your due diligence. If not, you've got a really great management company who's running it for you. You will put it in that year because you know that, especially if it's multiple units, that will keep going until you've utilized that full amount.
100%, exactly that. And if you have those allowances in a limited company, you can pretty much use the allowances to offset all of the tax bill for that limited company. regardless of whether you claim allowances in the other properties as well. So there is that possibility too. Again, something to discuss with your tax agent. That's probably the only version of sideways relief that you get with limited companies, in that you can utilize one set of allowances. You have 5 properties in there. You claim allowances on property number 1, the other 4 don't qualify, but you can utilize the allowances against the entire tax bill because they don't really differentiate between incomes in limited companies, just one tax bill. So you can do that as well.
But within an LLP then, or your own personal one, it would just be about against that one property, would it?
In that scenario, it's broken down separately, but in a limited company, it's slightly different. So yeah.
Interesting. Love it. Okay.